Imagine a world without choices. Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. You, I see.
Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It is a natural right for every human being to be free. Free, so free. So the government is there to protect you and me. The objective is to liberate the citizens from colonial bondage, them regulation, them taxation. Rob Jamaica, we independent. Be stronger together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. We're gonna be stronger together. Come, we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Non-partisan, constitutional Republic of Jamaica. You see the sovereignty.
Good night, good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all our uniters. It is my pleasure to have you here with us, friends. To all Jamaicans here at home and abroad across the diaspora, we welcome you to this evening's live stream. My name is Jerome Jackson. I'm your host. I'm a freelance writer and a member of the UIC. Now, tonight we will be looking at a topic, how much are you worth? And I have with me a few young professionals as our guests joining us. Let me also welcome them. To note, these young professionals are not politically affiliated, and they have expressed this, but as young Jamaican citizens, they feel the need to speak up and let their voice be heard as it relates to what's happening on the ground, and how they believe they can impact, right? Let me say bless up to all the persons who are watching the live stream. Yard Night, big up yourself, cool guy, Avi, Douglas Harper, all the ones who are tuned in that I'm seeing currently, big up. I appreciate your tuning in and joining us on the live. And as I said before, we're going to be looking at how much you're worth. It's important in light of what we're seeing happening, or leaders asserting what they believe they are worth or what they believe they deserve. And likely, I imagine every Jamaican has in their own, know of themselves what they're worth. Every Jamaican should know what they are worth. So that's what we're going to be delving into tonight. We're going to look at how the UIC's vision in terms of creating that sort of economic framework to ensure that every Jamaican, is able to live at a standard that, we're comfortable. It's not just about survival anymore. It's about growth. It's a growth structure, a growth economic. All right. So again, let me say welcome to all of the ones who are here tonight. And I said it's going to be a grassroots reasoning, right? And we're suggesting that we, the people, deserve a constitution that empowers us to live our best lives. That's where we're going with the conversation this evening. All right. It is my absolute pleasure. Let me say again. Just a second. Now, we're going to be covering just a few things tonight. It has to do with, we're looking at employment and remuneration, the disparities, the classifications in the workforce, how it is that despite one's hard work, it seems to not be enough for one to excel above a certain level. And so many of us irrespective of our credentials or accolades, whatever we've acquired, it seems still impossible. Many of us find ourselves in low-paying jobs, and our government keep telling us about minimum wages and all these things. So we want to talk about that a little bit, and it's going to be a free vibe conversation. We're not looking at it from an academic perspective. We're looking from a grassroots, from a people perspective. All right. So again, let me welcome my guests. Just a second for me, please. Let me see if I can adjust my screen here. I want to welcome my guests. We have Anis with us, and hopefully we'll have Talman on just the same. We had hoped to get a few other persons, but I guess um, other other obligations would have taken precedence. All right, big up Nigo Tony. Yes, glad to have him here, Jane. And Jasmine, thank you for joining in also. All right, so without further ado, excuse me, we're gonna get right into it. All right. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, invite your friends to view this conversation on the UIC Liberty TV, and be free to share their comments on our sessions that we have. All right. Now, how much are you worth? How much are you worth? Quick question to my guest. If someone was to ask you, how much are you worth? How would you respond to such a question? Yeah.
Unquantifiable.
I'm
My
gonna
worth
share a
cannot be
story with you after you
quantified.
finish. Go ahead.
One's worth can't be quantified in simple layman's terms. I can't put a worth on a person. Like each person is inherently worthy of life, of a life on this planet, a comfortable life, a healthy
Mhm.
life, a happy life, a
Mhm.
free life,
Yes.
one where their needs and desires are met. The question of worth really is it's inherent from the point of birth.
Right.
So
So basically, you're saying that you mentioned a couple of things just now, and basically, what I understand from it is every human being is born with a measure of worth that should enable a comfortable life.
that is it.
I see, and I agree with that. That standard. Welcome, Mr. Patterson. Thank you for joining us on the live. Right, we're glad to see you, sir. Now, the other day I was having a conversation with my brother, and we were reasoning on the terms earn and deserve, and there was a lot of well, we didn't complete the conversation because when we reason what one should earn and what one should deserve, there may be discrepancies or oppositions in that, because from my brother's perspective, whatever one earns is what one deserves. And I'm like, how do you reason for the ones who have greater earning potential, but are still not able to earn what they know they deserve, and in this case, would say their worth, right? Because of how the structure of the system. How do you respond to that? Are you saying that because they're not able to work and earn a certain amount means that what the dumpling and the tin mackerel is what they deserve? Is that what you're saying? And then you have to think again, because I'm like, everyone deserves to have that level playing field where if I can eat oxtail, then you can eat oxtail too. The playing field should be such that I shouldn't have a greater opportunity or a greater access to simple things, housing, food, yeah, water, the things that, as you said, Anis, will ensure a comfortable life. It shouldn't be as such that, oh, if I'm from Augustown, I'm going to automatically find myself in a class structure that leaves me at the bottom of the class, right? But if I come from a certain part of society, then whether by virtue of the fact that I'm born into, for want of better words, a gold spoon, I have easier access to life. And even though Anis might be brighter than I am, that makes no difference. And it's because she's from a certain community will not be able to access. And these are some of the things we're looking at. So, for example, I have a degree, right? And because of, again, the disparities in terms of the social disparities, I'm from Augustown. And so, because nobody don't know my name, put it that way, my father says, not who you know is who know you. But nobody don't know my name. So nobody now call Jerome. And when I apply to a million other positions, you find that I may not be able to access a job that my degree should empower me to have. All right, that's for the degree holder. How about the person who is very good with music, can play a guitar very well, or any instrument for that matter? But because they don't have access, again, to execute on what is God-given for them, their earning potential is again relegated if they come from a poor family. But if you come from a wealthy family, as long as you can access a guitar, you access a studio. And even if it's thing without substance you're presenting, it still gets you paid. Now, these are the things that we have to weigh in on and look at and say, is this what I deserve, irrespective of my hard work? Is this what Joseph deserves, irrespective of his hard work? Is this what Anis deserves, irrespective of her hard work? Why is it that for decades now, right, since we've been the fake independence, let's put it straightforward, why is it that from then until now, instead of there is a decrease in the poverty lines, there's an increase, more people poor now? Why? Why is it that more people are less able to grow, even though they are passing through this institution and that institution and this part of this system? Why? What is the problem? I submit to you that, again, until we begin to create, or until we have crafted a constitution that enables the empowerment of every citizen, then we're not yet at the place where we're going to realize or, be able to live our dreams, as it were. You wanted to make a comment, Mr. Patterson? I saw like you were putting your hand up. No? You wanted to make a comment, Mr. Patterson?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I just wanted to answer one of your initial question. What are you worth? And to contextualize that for us, I'm going to have to run out shortly. But Anis, Jerome, we're the ones that set our own worth. And there are two levels of worth. One is your human, as a human being, what are you worth? And then there's the financial one, right? Economic one. As a human being, we're all worth, and you can't measure the worth of a human being. We're created by our creator to be the best that we can possibly be. But outside of that, economically, we are worth what the market says we're worth. And by market, what do I mean? If the three of us alone was on an island, let's say just the three of us were on an island, nobody else. Our plane crashed and we drop on this island, nobody else is there. What are we worth? Nobody on the island owes us anything. Nobody owes us a coconut, an orange, a breadfruit, water, shelter. Each of us would have to decide how we're going to fend for ourselves on the island. Now we can organize ourselves in a way where we say together, how are we going to work together on this island to survive? So we might decide to cooperate to build a shelter for us. We might then decide to cooperate to hunt maybe a wild boar for our immediate dinner. We might cooperate in climbing in a coconut tree to get the coconut. But none of us are forced to provide for any of us. It would be because we cooperate. So what you want is an economy that recognizes your fundamental right to life, liberty, and property meaning you have the right to your life. Nobody can take it from you or should use force to take it from you. You have the right to be free to do whatever
Right.
you want with your life, provided you're not using force or fraud to take something from somebody else. And if you take something from nature, like if you were to climb the coconut tree yourself, pick the coconut, eat the coconut, and then ox out the shell and turn it into a bowl and make a spoon or a fork out of it, those are your property because you spent the time and ingenuity to produce that and create that, right? So that's
Right.
beautiful. What I'm always afraid of is a society which says that we are inherently um, we inherently have the rights of somebody to provide for our needs. Like there's nobody inherently responsible to provide for your health, your education, your housing, your retirement. Those are all your responsibilities. But you can decide to cooperate with others to say let's create for example a healthcare fund as a community or as a family or as a country, and we're going to cooperate. Nobody's going to be a freeloader. So you're not going to just come in and get healthcare at everybody else's expense, or you're not going to come in and get a housing at everybody else's expense. You have to be a part of the solution. You have to be a value added. And so last night I
Right.
was on a program where we're talking about money, and I left
Uh-huh.
them with this mantra, which is my personal mantra. My economic value is determined by the demand for what I do, how well I do it,
Uh-huh.
and how difficult it is to replace me. So if I want to have a high economic value, I have to make sure that I find a space where society demands something, society wants something. Society, let's say society wants my music. I'm a singer, and I realize society wants my music. Then I must now make sure I am a good musician, and therefore, if society demands my music, and if I deliver good music to the satisfaction of society, then I'm going to get a good income. If, on the other hand, I am careless about what I do, let's say I am a shoemaker, but I'm careless. I don't learn the craft properly. I don't treat my customers properly. I don't deliver on my promises to my customer. Then, by nature, my income should drop because I'm not delivering quality. That aside, though, if you now have a country where a small minority, let's say the PSOJ oligarchs, control the political system and control the politicians, and they get to make laws and regulations that prevents others from being able to fully access the economy and to have the same equal access to being able to make the best of their potential, then you have a problem. And that's in fact what we have in Jamaica. We have an
Exactly.
economy where a
Exactly.
few people control the levers and they get to marginalize other people and they get to hoard capital and they get to use that position of dominance that they have unfairly and fraudulently gotten to cause other people to be unnecessarily poor and prevent many persons from achieving their full potential. And it is my hope and prayers and my desire to build a Jamaica that will bring out the best in all of us by empowering all of us to be able to do what we can do to add value to the lives of other people. And the more value you add to others is the more value you get in return. I have to run now, though. I hope you
Give
understand.
thanks. Give thanks. Thanks for dropping by, Mr. Patterson. All right, and we're picking up the conversation. Anis, you would have heard Mr. Patterson echo sentiments of a society that ensures equity, right? Now, you tell me, how do you think that this um, can be accomplished? I mean, I want to talk about practical things now. I have some things in my head, but I don't want to just say it out loud, and then I want to hear what I mean as someone who would have done or still doing tertiary, right? How do you? I mean, all right. Before we go there, yesterday or day before yesterday rather, I was over on the Mona Ball, and there were some young men, some cricketers, and it just happened that as I got there, a conversation started about how what they think the government should invest in as it relates to the youth and ensuring a more productive society. And one of the young men said, sports. Then we put the money in a sports. Because right now, the academic thing like it now work out because today right now I have 12 CXC and 2 associates and it now work basically. But he's suggesting that if the government invest more into athletics, put it that way, sports for the youth, then many of our youth will be able to better find their way um, in society in terms of experience, true growth for themselves, the economic freedom, something like that. What are your thoughts? Do you what if you were supposed to impact productively the life of the youth cohort in terms of ensuring that what you would do? What you that way if you had the money to spend? Where you would spend it? Put it that way.
I'm okay. If I had the money to spend, I would channel the money into programs, skills programs, not just sports, but also the arts, the creative arts,
Mm-hmm.
uh, all mediums and facets of art, right? I would get into communities, I would get involved with the young people, right? Find out what it is exactly that they need, where they are lacking, how it is that I can be of assistance specifically.
I see. And that is just you. But what if we look at it from a more a leadership perspective? Say, for instance, now that you were the prime minister, it's not to say it's not a Anis now, it's more like an
No.
as the PM. You know what I mean? I'm just asking because here what? Of course, we know that individually, say if me have the money then, right? It personally, yeah, would I just say, all right, fine, we know a couple youths who, you know, me would have come and build up maybe a one studio around this up and ensure say, you know, the ones them who are musically inclined and get an opportunity to, you know what I mean, express and you know, craft something, build on something, produce something that can be, you know, value, monetary value
It's
for them,
accessible to them, right?
right? Um, but then so yeah, well, I mean that's what you would do. But say for instance, how sustainable is that? That would be just a one person thing,
As
right?
in not right, that in itself is also just like one facet, that is just one thing that you could do within the programs, right, to allow for creation and expression. That's just one resource that can be implemented.
I understand. Bear in mind, what we want to highlight is that we know that the average Jamaican, given I mean I say the average Jamaican now, because the average Jamaican not rich,
Hmm.
right? The average Jamaican is not rich. The average Jamaican lives below poverty lines or lives at poverty line, right? But if you give them an opportunity to excel, to do something, and we've seen it in our communities, right? A man get a bus, him got foreign, and not all of them really uh, invest in criminality. You have those who get the chance and they come back and they add so much value to the community, right? But then when we're looking at it on a broader perspective, not just from an individual hoping to empower themselves to pull the ones that they can. We're looking at it from a perspective of how about we have a framework that it ensures that whether I choose to migrate or if I choose to stay here at home, the framework in place ensures that I can still deliver on my best self. Because, all right, put it in a layman terms. The other day I was reasoning with someone and I said to them, what if we had a kind of framework where, excuse me, a framework where if I have a business idea, right? And there is a channel through which I can present my business idea and receive and be guaranteed to receive funding. So I don't have to have any political affiliation. It's not politics, it's just how the framework is set up. So as long as I have the idea, I have the business plan, well constructed, I can approach not private sector first alone, but I can approach the public sector because the public sector is here to deliver service for me. So I can approach, say, the public sector and say, hey, I have this a department in the public sector, whichever department, the Ministry of Finance, you name it, and say, I have a business plan here. This is how I see growth, not only just for me, but for the community from where I'm from. Or even better yet, how about we have a framework where communities and community development councils, right? People who are responsible for the management of the community, put it that way. They could organize to find out what it is that the community needs, right? And let it be said that it was said here first. Organize what the community needs, right? And then be able to submit something to the relevant authority to say, listen, this is what we see empowering our community in the different, you'd say now, spheres or the different facets or whatever, the reports or whatever. And investments can be made to Augusttown, for example, right? Because the CDC would have done their necessary due diligence to find out what it is that would ensure growth in the community. And then when they make their presentations, guarantee the opportunity that Jerome wants in a matter of time, it will be made accessible to me because the representation was made on my behalf. The opportunity that Anis wants will be delivered to her because in the whole research and preparation of the document, it was found that Anis and Jerome have such and such interests, and this is how this will build on their capacity and give them and enable them economic freedom, right? And so when that project or those projects or those funds which are earmarked for community developments, they are passed through the councils that are people run, not government or politically driven. They are people run. And the accountability for everyone across the spectrum. So whatever funds comes in, it can't be detour to who me, Jerome, want. Say, for instance, I'm the head of the CDC. I can't make any individual, neither can a collective executive just make an arbitrary decision to do whatever. The funds have been earmarked and have been provided to do this, and it has to be done. So the accountability is not in question. And so when this type of framework is set up, there's a guarantee that whatever productive idea or productive or genius mind that Anis has or Jerome has, they can find that channel somewhere in the community. There's an institution maybe set up a farm if it's farming. Say, for instance, Jerome is into farming. There's the project enables him to do horticulture, agriculture, you name it, and be able to earn. No, that is not the current thing. But we are of community development funds, do we not? Yeah, man, and hear about the CDF, them talk about it all the time. But in as much as how millions and have gone into CDFs, communities like Augusttown, really the people, the standard of the people remain the same. Right? Now, I just outlined a thought I had as it relates to creating economic freedom from the community level. What would you say regarding such a framework, you know what I mean, that you would basically have some control over? Yeah, because I said it won't be about any political leader, it will now be about Jerome and what Jerome would have agreed to, what Anis would have agreed to, and how it is that now that this is made accessible to us. I mean, what are your thoughts? I know the UIC.
The question is.
Go ahead.
Is the question with regards to, do I think this is plausible or if this would attain growth, essentially?
Well, what I want to know is both. Do you think it is possible, and do you think it can be achieved in terms of as a growth potential?
I feel like anything is possible, right? It comes down to what the individuals of the society collectively agree to do, essentially. Do I
Right.
think it is possible, plausible? Yes, but I also think that what happens boils down to the collective free will choice of the society. You know,
Right.
what
So you're saying that, so if if the community, as it were, agrees, collective that agrees that this is how we want it, then this is how it has to go. Are we agree? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what I'm suggesting, by the way.
no, what I am saying is that if it is okay, say that was put into place, right? Hypothetically speaking,
Right.
would it work? Would it be able to ascertain grow? Would it be able to function, right? Successfully? Do I think that is possible? Yes, I think that is possible. I think that is something that is possible. I think that it would just take decisive action. You know, it would take wholehearted action. It would take accountability. It would
Right.
take, like all hands on deck, essentially, everyone playing their part to their full potential to make sure that this thing is always functioning optimally. This system is always running the way that it is supposed to run,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that I do believe that that is something that is is possible, right?
You know, thank you. The UIC has a vision that will enable a kind of well, not a kind of, enable the sovereignty that will ensure the sovereignty of every individual, right? And by that, we're talking about ensuring that no small group of people can make a decision, as it were, for Anis and say, oh, because we say a certain go, you have to accept it. But in the new framework, and when we're talking about new framework, we're talking about a completely new constitution. And bear in mind, currently we hear of the government seeking to make a reform to the constitution. And a part of their so-called reform is to remove the the current head of state. But all of that is just smokescreen, and we know this, right? What we need is a constitution that eliminates uh, minority control over the masses, and just removing the King of England as the head of state, and still facilitating the rest of the constitution that they have written will not empower the average Jamaican. Bearing in mind that the current constitution is what enables the prime minister and his cabinet to assert their recent demand for a pay hike, because that's what was done. They just basically said that, hey, it is written from how much years ago, say, and this we forget. And so this is what we forget. And bear in mind, we're talking about how much you're worth again, right?
Mm.
And my question is, if it is written that the prime minister ought to get this and or that, what is written for Jerome? What is written for Anis? Yeah? What has been written in our names based on what we should earn? And who writes this? Yeah? Now, of course, it's written in the Constitution that we all are subjected to, because it is as it is now, the King's Constitution, the monarch's Constitution, not the people's Constitution. And so our public servants are those who are supposed to serve us at the head as head of ministries. They are really serving the monarchy and not the people. Hence, what we have at the grassroots level. And it will be so as long as we continue to observe the current constitution, as long as we will work with it, as long as we won't understand that it actually maligns most of us. right? Um, some time ago, I'm gonna share a story with you. Some time ago, I was having conversation with some young people. Then we had just started. My colleague and I had just started this movement called Africa Hill Movement, and we were reasoning with the young people the evening about something similar to what we're doing now. And a question was asked of a young lady. She was then in high school. How much is she willing to work for as a salary when she leaves the school? The response had me and my colleagues shocked when she mentioned something along the lines of $4,000 a fortnight. My colleague looked at me and I looked at him instantly. I was like, but then she goes on to tell us that this is how her grandmother and her mother has been doing it. So again, we see that is like the classification and how it impacts, you know, self-esteem and how one even see themselves as, you know, even because bear in mind, we're not asking her about her current stage in terms of high school. No, how do you see yourself earning when you leave high school? So it's like a forward projection we're asking her to give us of herself. We look into the future, and that is what she saw, right? Um, appreciate that, Alice. Right? That is what she saw. Um, Let me also say I understand that you're having a bit of thing with your phone.
Mm. Right.
If that happens, we can understand it these things happen. But before I go any further, tell me, based on what I just shared with that girl's vision, I would say to you, it's based on how the whole structure of the system is written, that she sees herself as being, as it were, worth that kind of earning uh, potential. That's what she sees herself worth earning when she leaves school. No, how do we impact the psyche of our young people to let them know that listen, you're worth so much more? What would you have said?
I mean, one thing I wish I had learned more about in school was entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
right? And not just limited to whether or not you decide to do a business subject. Because when I was in high school too, I came to understand that the subjects that you are offered varies
Mhm.
based on the high school that you attend, right?
Right,
Because I attended a traditional high school and a lot of technical subjects, right, were not offered at the school that I went to, like technical drawing, and there were different branches of science as well that were not offered, like human and social biology, so it was the subjects were very carefully selected, essentially,
right,
right, for certain aspects or certain areas in society: medicine, law, uh,
right,
business to a lesser degree,
right,
but the sciences, right? And then the arts and humanities and technical skills subjects, they were less, right?
right,
And so to even say, to learn more about entrepreneurship, to learn more about just to widen our range, right?
right,
To give people more options, to make people better equipped for society, how to create income for yourself,
right,
essentially, to make people more financially literate leaving school, how to invest, how to manage your money, how to save, etc., how to budget, right? Things like that
right,
that equip you for being in society. We weren't really taught, so I would say better equip students from the school level, right?
right,
Teach more skills, prioritize these things, make people better rounded, right? And not just give some people the opportunities to do this because
mhm,
I feel like you would excel more in this area, and this batch over here, you can get the opportunity to do this because I feel like you would excel better in that area. Now limiting the people in this that so happen to fall into this category, from what they could achieve, or what could be their highest potential, because you have decided that, okay, I don't think you should learn that, so yeah, just to widen the scope of how it is that we are training individuals and educating individuals to go out into society and be well adjusted and successful,
Right,
yeah.
right. One heap of respect. I really appreciate you joining us this evening, Anis. I know you said that you're going to have to run shortly,
That's
but
fab.
that was salient what you just shared with us, and it actually um, it adds value to what I'm about to share because we know that if the education structure doesn't is not one that empowers a student to be a producer, right?
Right.
Then
You'll be dependent.
rather than just be a worker, you know, not be a worker and being a producer is two different things,
Two completely different
right?
things.
Um, you have you have people who work for people, but the people they work for are them people that are really the producer, and they're
Right.
really you just work for the producer. But how about a system that causes when you leave high school? In fact, before you even leave high school, a part of your what them call it now, your practicum, practical, right?
Hmm.
Have to get into the mode of creating. But now, Anis, I can carry on and on this
I mean,
evening.
I could stay until I fall off, or I could make a gracious exit.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to have you stay with us a little while longer if your device will allow. Excuse me a second. Pardon me, ones. I still have a bit of cold on my chest. I'm still healing from the other day.
Hmm.
Anyhow, so just to continue where I stopped off, I've envisioned um, an education system
Hmm.
that can never turn out failure because from the basic level, the parents are so involved of teaching and learning that that relationship with the parent at first, with the child, they're able to identify the strengths in the child. And when the child should move from just mommy and daddy's teaching, which they're never removed because the parent must be actively involved always in the development of their child or their children. When they should move into the basic school level so they can be more socialized with children their age. The school now also has a structure, a syllabus, if we want to use that word, that that where the objective is to again I am further not just identify now, but to begin to enhance, to assist the child in honing. So say for instance, the parent would have recognized that their child is athletic. Look at one that's full of energy. So from in my belly, and when the child is born, in no time the child start walking, as it were, and running. And before you know it, by the child, it's one to, you know, mommy has a problem catching this child. Yeah, but the child is athletic. All right. How shall we own this? How shall we direct this, channel this, and this that we observe in our child into their greatness, their wealth? The school system adds value to that athletic ability. And so when they go into the school system, it's not just to learn math and English, but let me not say English, math and language arts, because we don't want to say it's English that they must learn, but they learn how to maneuver languages for that word. And everything that the subject areas that are crafted to empower the artist. If you find that your child is a musical or artistic, it will empower the child that is athletic because the school has programs that are geared towards all of these gifts and or talents that the child displays. And as they pass through from grade 1 to grade 6, the basic level, or from the basic to the primary level, you get what I'm saying? this skill is developed more and more. So by the time that, let's say, the athletic child again starts grade 1 to grade 6, in no time they're representing their school at meets, athletic meets, because that same gift or talent would have been observed from the early stage. The school's responsibility, which is to facilitate that, and not just to put into your brain that you must get math, English, and mental ability, but with respect to your gift. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
When they would have completed the primary level, they would have automatically moved into a secondary level that begin
It's
to
tailored to
discover
their
mastery.
gifts, right?
Right. So
Right.
this athlete, when him leave primary school and go high school, before you blink, him represent Jamaica already.
Right. Right.
You follow what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Or
all
this,
of this,
or
right?
this artist,
Yeah. And
right?
at the end of the day, this very same athlete is now earning before he even leave school, because he has a product that has been owned from the basic level.
From the beginning, from the moment that it was realized.
Precisely. Currently, our system is just try pass your GSAT, your CXC, your common entrance, and if you can't pass it, you're done, right? And if you're done, we know you're gonna make it around here. That is it. And 70% of our youth cohort when they're leaving high school, they are deemed non-qualified. You know how much potential that waste, you know how much productivity has gone to where it has gone into
Think in
guns
school
and holding up
that
barrels and trucks, etc., etc. That's where it has gone. That's gone into gangs, because that was not owned from inception.
mm,
Hence, we have less productivity, and we'll continue to have it as long as this is the structure that we're working with. And bear in mind, our Ministry of Education is not them write the syllabus. No, because our system is a system where we borrow things and ideas from people who, in fact, not borrow. People basically give us our structure for education.
mm,
Some time ago, I'm just remembering this now. There's a writer called Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu. Yeah, I'm not. He writes a series of books, and one of the books that he writes speaks to the education of Black children, and he spoke to the education of Black boys and Black girls. And who know the people who are familiar with the UIC will let you know that we are the spirit of the Marcus Garvey movement. We are the spirit of Marcus Garvey in this time. And so we are pro the liberation of the Black people for real. And when we talk about liberation, we're talking about a liberation, that economic liberation, that only can come through the empowering of the people's minds. That's where we're going with it. So it's to educate the people in such a way that them economically liberated. It's not an education where we have to go, just like back in the 1962 and before, when them claim independence and them claim abolish slavery, abolish. But it's the same structure we have today. Because just like in them time that because you were deemed uneducated, and so you never have nothing. Now you're deemed educated and even qualified, but you still not have nothing, because you still have to run to somebody to give you some work for you try to make a way. And earlier on, I spoke to the fact that you have university graduates with a degree who still are marginalized. And these people have, we have to speak of them potential. Come on, the people that were able to transition to university, them full of potential, more than potential. There's so much that they can do, but they are relegated again. I suggest that when we begin to, when a constitution is developed to empower my sovereignty, your sovereignty, then we will have a type of level playing field. So even if I have a degree, Anis, and you have your degree is just based on your preference, either in terms of if you're an academic and you just want to further yourself that way there, and what you have access in terms of academic will empower you. But say, for instance, me is not a degree man, he's a farmer. Likewise, the sovereignty, the respect of my sovereignty will enable me with the new constitution to basically access lands, yes, establish a farm that will be productive and successful, not a farm where, because there are people who are doing farming that will tell you right now, nothing in it. But we have a structure where I can do farming and do it at varying levels. Be a mass producer of items, not just the raw material, but even byproducts as a farmer. Because we have big visions. This is my vision for a new Jamaica, really. A vision that at the end of the day, all Jamaicans have an equal at living how much they know they're worth. That is how me look on it. All right. And it's okay. So again, I see what's happening. We want to say thank you very much, Anis, for joining us. Just to see, I know you maybe your phone is probably going out now. You had indicated that to us earlier. Let us say a big thank you to Anis also for joining the conversation, for her contribution. I would have hoped to get another of my invited guests on. But yeah, as we talk with us, we have to speak these things, because at the end of the day, someone said to me, but Jerome, you don't think the leaders know these things? You don't think they're aware of, all this system can be corrected? You don't think maybe someone might have posited this to them in previous? What prohibits them from delivering best service? A constitution that doesn't enable good governance. And so if we're going to in any way move from being just third world and accepting what is deemed third world, and bear in mind, is the classification of states. And so Jamaica would have been classified based on globalization, or those who claim to control global economies global, that Jamaica must be here. Because the other day I asked a question, I'm like, as it relates to sports, we have the fastest man here, right? But yet still we don't have a program. And even though ones may say, but want to boys and girls champs, we should have a whole heap of Usain Bolts. We shouldn't have a one Usain Bolt. We should have a system that will enable a whole heap, all of the pitnam where they are primary school now. We know say the goal rush for Jamaica experience when Usain and the other bridging end up on the field will be a constant thing. We're waiting to see if the system that is supposed to empower athletes, if it's going to enable a constant stream of gold from Jamaica athletics. Why I say this? Some time ago, we'll remember when the Reggae Boys earned their way to the World Cup in France. And when that happened, I said, yes, see, we know a long time, so we have the potential to do this. But then what happens? It seems that after that feat was met, it's like nothing was done now to ensure that we have a continuous entry into the World Cup and getting past, getting to even finals or quarterfinals, to the finals, because we're great people and we can go to the World Cup and win too. We can. But we have been the system has so suppressed the worth of many of us, and have sought to have us relegated again and again to just survival mode, right? So it becomes almost an impossibility. There's a pipe dream when a young man or a young woman speak of becoming some form of sports great or some form of artistic great. I grew up in an era where many of our parents did not so much want to encourage us to take on what comes naturally and excel there. You were told to align with what is systematic. You're gonna go to school, you're gonna do what is taught there, and you're gonna come out and try and get a job. Now, when we look at how other peoples across the world, and let's look at the Chinese, for example, they come here to our country, right? And we welcome them. We don't have a problem with the Chinese. I have no problem with the Chinese per se. None. They do not just push their children through a system. They educate their children how to run businesses. And the importance of math and English, and are not English, math and language, because they're not necessarily teach them children English, but all the importance of understanding languages and all the other sciences associated with business and all these things. They empower their children to be constantly productive. We tell our children, just try to get a work. We want to have a Jamaica where everyone, and I'm repeating this, a system that ensures and enables the strengths of everyone, the good in everyone. Let me make it very clear, because some people may want to say them strength is not something good, put it that way. But we want a system that enables, we want the best and brings out the best in all citizens, right? And for that to happen, the UIC is here, and we are saying, let's rewrite the Constitution to represent the sovereignty of every Jamaican national, whether you live yourself on the rock or you live abroad. Your say counts, the development that you, right? And the freedoms that deserve, we deserve. And we're willing to work for it so we can earn the standard of living, as Annie said, that will ensure everyone comfortable. It shouldn't be another 80 years for us to realize
Hi, good night, everyone. Good night. It seems as if Jerome is having some connectivity issues at the moment, but in this case, we may have to end the live sooner than we wanted to. So, thank you so much for joining again. We appreciate your continual support, And we do hope to see you on our next live. All right. Thank you so much and have a good night. Just remember, one Jamaica, stronger together. We'll see you on the next live. And don't forget, before I go, don't forget to join us for uh yeah, our rally coming up on the 10th of June. You can share that with, your neighbors, your contacts. However, if you want a copy of the flyer, please feel free to reach out to us via WhatsApp at 1-876-471-6598 or 1-876-293-0812. All right. Thanks again for joining us and have a wonderful rest of evening. Thank you. Good night.